After 30 years of the daily theatrical grind, the stalwart Cocoa Village Playhouse drama mama isn't slowing down. In fact, she's planning a major expansion. Welcome to Florida Today's Eye on Brevard. I'm Rob Landers. Today I'll sit down with Dr. Anastacia Hawkins-Smith, the executive director of the historic Cocoa Village Playhouse, to discuss her legacy, her team, her plans for her expansion, her season, and what she sees for her future. Stacy, thank you so much for having me here today on the Cocoa Village Playhouse stage to do our show shoot. I'm so excited because you've been in my studio several times,
Yes.
but I've been the producer.
Yes.
So it's so fun for me to be able to sit down and talk to you for a full show and just talk theater with you. It's one of my favorite things to talk about, and I'm so glad I finally get to sit down and talk to you about theater.
Absolutely, and we've been talking now for a while, and we both get so excited, so we better warn the audience viewers right now because we are charged up about theater. You coming out of your show, Beauty and the Beast, and going into Grease, and us opening Cinderella and getting Cinderella done, and now we're on to White Christmas. I mean, life is wonderful.
That's such a beautiful show.
It is.
That's the Sisters.
Yes, it
Yes,
is.
it is.
It is.
This isn't the first time you've done White Christmas, though, right?
Exactly. And you know, ever since we did White Christmas about 10 years ago, I've applied every single year to get the royalties to present it again because it's one of those shows that you could do every single season, you know?
And audiences love it.
Yes, yes.
Okay, all right, so let's before we really get into your season,
Okay.
I want to talk about the Cocoa Village Playhouse and your history here just a little bit, because I feel like every time I have you in or we have you in the studio, we're always talking about shows, and I really want to talk about you today.
Well, thank you.
I mean, seriously, you have made this place what it is. I mean, you are the driving force behind it, and really, I want to know, how did you get started here?
Oh my goodness. Well, let me back up for 1 second and thank you for being right here on our stage. This is really fun. We're having so much fun. Okay, so how did I get started? It's such a long story, but to make a long story short, 1989 is when they hired me to be the director here, and it took about a year to figure out that even though we had the doors open out front with people just coming on, begging people to come in, that we had to do something to get the community into the theater or it would not survive. So we launched a community theater, and that's what we did. And how does it work? I again say it's all about teamwork. It's about everybody contributing everything they possibly can, from the audience viewers being here, the donors being there, the ticket buyers, but the performers. Without the performers, you would not have a show, as you know. And we are so fortunate in our community to have performers that are so talented that we're able to keep all of our community theaters alive and going strong. So how did I do it? Well, I walked in and started a community theater, and here we are, 30 years. We're in our 30th year, and every year trying to make sure that decisions were being made for the future, a successful future. So when the drama mamas of the world are being rolled around in our wheelchairs or whatever we're doing, that our youth will grow up successfully and carry on our theater.
Okay, so, and this, this may seem like I'm throwing shade at other organizations in the community, but how did you maintain your consistency? It seems like every theater in our community, the other four, has had ebbs and flows. There was a change in NCT a few years ago where they weren't doing really well. Peg Gerard came in, and of course they're doing miraculously well now.
Yes.
Titusville Playhouse had the issue 7 years ago. Stephen came in. You, though, have maintained this consistent flow. How have you done that?
That's a very good question. I am very passionate about our community, very passionate about what I do, what our team does together. I am ridiculously committed to the success of Cocoa. I grew up here, as you know, probably. The success of Cocoa, but the outreach into north and south of our county. Such a long county we are. How did it happen? Absolute commitment, no matter what, commitment. For without that, what difference does the rest make? As Ben Franklin would say to John Adams, because you have to, no matter what, never give up, ever.
What drives you? What makes you get out of bed every morning and go, yes, I can't wait to go to the theater? And
The people of the theater. The driving force for me is the performers, the children, the team. I could never let them down. There is no choice. The choice is to persevere. I'm a big on the tortoise and the hare, slow and steady wins the race. Never give up, no matter how you're going. I define everything for the children, but what makes me get up is knowing absolutely that I'm in the right place at the right time and doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. But the people that come here, how could I ever let them down? I could never let them down.
Well,
not on purpose.
Well, right. and so for 30 years you've been doing this.
Yes.
So does it just ever get to be too much?
No, when it starts to get big and overwhelming, that's when I look to my team and say, okay, now I really, really need you to take on this. I did that last night. As a matter of fact, in auditions, at the end of auditions, it was so funny because our STARS leaders, who grew up in STARS, by the way, last night I said, I normally do this, but I'm explaining to you, and I need you to do this for me. And they're analyzing the children, where they're coming from, their conflicts. We want to know those things before we ever get started. So that way we know what we're agreeing to. If a child has soccer on Monday and we have Stars of Tomorrow at the same time, then what do we do? Do we move them to Wednesday? Do we keep, you get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's a very intense. So the answer is, with the big capital D, delegate. Delegate
good.
more. The bigger it gets, the more that's delegated. And the people around me are hungry to take on those responsibilities.
That's fantastic. It's fantastic that you've got that team that always has your back.
Yes, yes.
You mentioned your education program. Let's talk about that, because your education program is a little bit, well, actually, it's a lot different than other education programs in the community. Talk to me a little bit about your STARS program.
Goodness, Stars of Tomorrow. Oh my goodness. As I said, 1989. What a funny story, walking into the theater, the executive with my briefcase, and there's no one here. And there's a little desk to sit at. I mean, it's such a funny story. But in 1990 is when I said, let's bring the children in now. Let's give our time to the youth. And we began the Stars of Tomorrow program. But what's different about the program is that it is a program of study for a year. When we cast the youth, they're with us every single week for a year. And it's not just about presenting a show, okay? It's about life management skills, maintaining a grade point average, planning for college. But it's based 7 years old through high school graduation. And they're divided into 3 different groups. And in January, after we've done our holiday fun, and many of them take off a leave of absence for the holiday shows, but when they come back in January, then we divide, and we use those productions to train them in teamwork, supporting each other. It's not about being the lead of the show. It's about being your part of that whole picture. But seriously, Stars is so much more than just doing a show. So when we come out at the end of the year, we do this thing that we've done since 1990 called Friday Fun Day. It is still a $2.50 ticket, and that show is one afternoon that those children have created themselves, their own acts. We have games on the stage. The theater's filled with summer camps, people that come here and enjoy that Friday. So that's how the year ends, with them being able to create. That's another part of Stars. We truly encourage creative writing, character development. It's so much more than just coming and doing a show. Yes.
Wow.
Yes, they're with us all year. And we also do some very crazy things, like big Halloween, happy Halloween parties. I don't know if you've heard of our Drama Mama Halloween lock-in. That is
I have not heard of
is
this.
an all-night event for the children. Of course, the parents are invited. They have to be 13 and up to participate, but at midnight, the ghost stories are told, and the ghost tour happens. So in order to participate in that, the only way to participate is to be in Stars, and it's a tradition because it's very difficult for the adults. And every year we say to ourselves, why are we doing this again? Because it's so hard. It's a tradition for those teenagers.
Okay, I just want to take a pause right here.
Yes, yes.
Christina LaFortune, you heard it right here. In order to do Haunted Brevard here at the Cocoa Village Playhouse, we have to join the Stars program. Okay.
Oh, we'd love for you to. Midnight Ghost Stories.
Great. Okay. All right. So.
But they're true ghost stories.
Yes,
yes.
I know. I've
Yes.
heard.
Yes.
I'm very excited. Okay. So let's shift gears just for a second.
Okay.
We'll leave the ghost behind.
There's the Stars. Yeah.
We'll leave the spirit of the ghost and the spirit of Stars behind for a second to talk about the spirit of community
Yes.
that you just said that you really are passionate about making sure that the city of Cocoa,
Yes.
as part of that,
Yes.
you are now planning an expansion here in
Yes,
historic
yes.
Cocoa Village.
Yes.
And not just preserving this historic building that we're sitting in,
Right.
but actually expanding your facility into the neighboring building to the south. Talk to me a little bit
Yes.
about your expansion plans here.
Well, backing up for 1 second, if you haven't been to Cocoa Village in a while, please come down, because the historic district, they are working so hard not only to expand things, but to make things wonderful down here. My goodness, the park right around the corner. What a wonderful venue, if you will, for our entire county. And backing up for a second, since we talked about 1989, crime in 1989 was intense. And down here now, people wander the streets after midnight because there's still activity. And when I say wander, I mean people like us enjoying the different establishments, eating dinner, having drinks if you want drinks, karaoke around the corner.
Well, and very soon you're going to have people living in Cocoa Village. I mean, you've got
Yes,
housing,
townhomes,
you've got the now
yes.
townhomes and villas going in just down the
Yes,
street.
yes,
You've
yes.
got a hotel that is now planned for
Yes.
the corner behind Murdoch's.
Yes,
Yep.
And Cocoa is a safe place. It's a safe place now. And compared to back then, oh my goodness gracious. So given that, the Playhouse is very much a driving force of bringing people to Cocoa Village. And when we had this one-time opportunity to purchase the building next door, that was an opportunity, and we thank God so much for a loaner donor, is what we call our loaner donor, who loaned us the money to purchase the building at a crazy low interest rate. In order for us to make the plans, in order for us to raise the funds, to expand into the south end of the historic building. What will this expansion bring? It will bring expanded lobby space, restrooms for our audiences.
Yay.
Box office space for our workers. If you've ever seen the space, literally, viewers, we're talking, what, 6 feet wide maybe? It's crazy. But it's not about the staff. It's about serving the community. And the most exciting part for myself personally is the studio theater, which oftentimes is called a black box theater, multi-purpose area, which will also be on the first floor of the building. With that, a catering kitchen. So if we wanted to have dinner theater, we can. It also opens up right onto our shop here in order for scenic. And then there's a second floor that will also allow you to move into the historic building on the second floor. And that's just kind of it in a nutshell. But the problem is we can always dream, but if we don't have the funds to make those dreams come true, hard work and serious support from our community, which is the story of the Playhouse, the impossible becoming possible. The stage you're sitting on here right now, you remember 30 years ago when the stage stopped right where the trees are right now. And now we have the 3-story annex.
That building is beautiful.
Oh,
I actually
thank
got
you.
to go back there for the first time earlier this year. I came in with a friend to meet with Dan Hill, your costumer.
Yes.
And your facility is really, really nice.
Well,
that is money
thank
well
you.
spent.
Oh, thank you. I'm so happy that you said something like that, because when we walk in, we see the utility part of the building, the use, the concrete floors. We don't have to paint the floors. Concrete is beautiful. Let us keep it clean. Okay, it's a functional building. The sewing area that you are in is of the highest quality of any college that I know of that, has a costume construction area.
Mike, that costume construction area of any college, my college's costume construction area did not look like that. It was actually in a basement. That is really nice. I mean, you have really created something. Not just for your staff, but for your volunteer actors, for
Yes.
a place for them to come in and feel comfortable changing into costumes, for them to get fitted into costumes, and then a place for Dan to create these really beautiful pieces of art to present to your patrons.
Yes.
It is a very nice facility.
And thank you, and we recycle. We recycle everything we possibly can. And as you know, being in theater, storage is always the issue. And it's very difficult to decide what you're going to store and what you're going to give away at the end of a show, because you can't keep it all. But our costumes, we keep every single one, we recycle every one, and hopefully, as the future unfolds and the team builds, we'll be able to actually have a serious rental, warehouse. Right now, we rent to few people in small venues, but it does exist. It's just on a very small scale right now.
Well, before we run out of time, because we have this thing where you and I get on a roll and we
we
start
do.
talking, and then
We
time
do.
just flies.
We do.
We have about 8 minutes left,
Oh,
and I want to
no.
talk about your entire season because you've got really
Oh,
good
no.
shows.
Oh,
Now we
no.
talked about White Christmas already, classic show.
But Rob, wait.
Wait.
The building, we need money. We need help. Okay, so we will be launching a capital campaign to finish raising the funds that we need to renovate the building. So on to the season. Yes, you and I, we need hours together.
I know.
It's so exciting.
I think this is the start of a very beautiful friendship.
It is. I'm so happy.
Okay, so White Christmas. We already
Yes.
talked about that. Okay, so before we even start with White Christmas, you just wrapped up. We're still sitting in front of the
Yes.
set for Cinderella,
Yes.
Rodgers and Hammerstein. Not the only Rodgers and Hammerstein show you have in the season, but we'll get there.
No.
White Christmas is coming in
Yes,
December. Okay,
yes.
followed by
The Sound of Music.
Okay, I have to tell you, The Sound of Music is the show that made me fall in love with theater. I had a roommate who played the captain in college, and I looked at him on stage playing the captain, and I said, I could do that, and that's what got me started in theater.
Fantastic.
It is a beautiful show.
Fantastic.
You have the kids lined up already, right?
Not yet.
No, but I mean, you have.
We will.
You have an army of.
Auditions will be coming.
Right. You have
Yes.
an army of stars of tomorrow that I'm sure are chomping at the bit to play a Von Trapp.
Auditions will be coming.
What's coming after The Sound of Music?
Into the Woods.
Okay, so
a performer favorite.
Sondheim classic.
Yes, and
Fairy tales all around.
After Into the Woods comes 9 to 5.
I love that show.
Oh, good.
I love that show.
Good.
That is it is one of my favorites. Dolly Parton. It's what I love about that show is that when you get the rights for the show,
Yes.
you get Dolly to come with
Yes.
you, and Dolly actually sings with your performers at the end of the show every night. It's so much fun.
Awesome,
Yes.
awesome. Well, and that's Broadway on Brevard, but we have this other series called our Spotlight series, and if you go online, you can see all of the things we're doing this season, and that series actually features individual performers throughout the year, and one of the highlights of our year is the Hot Pink concert series. Oh my goodness. They're going to be presenting 3 different concerts, but all of this spotlight information, it brings us up to about 18 or 19 different shows that you can come and see. And you can be a season patron all the way up to when we're down to our last 4 shows, because a season patron ticket is 4 shows out of all of these offerings. Another amazing thing that no one knows that we have here is the Florida State Magician Contest in January. Yes, yes. And then the other there's 2. Our Stars of Tomorrow youth shows, the shows we do, but we also have an Aladdin film series. And we have 2 films coming that are sing-along films, Little Shop of Horrors and The
Fun.
Wizard of Oz
Oh,
coming.
nice.
We invite you to dress in costume. Tickets are very affordable. Our tickets are like $8 and $10 for films, and then we run from 18 up to 31, 32 for our Broadway on Brevard. It's all online, and the tickets are priced differently.
Okay, so your Aladdin film series. Now
Yes.
that's a nod to the building's history, correct?
Yes, it is.
Yes, the Aladdin.
1924, the building was built, and it was known as the Aladdin. If you look at the marquee when you walk out, look up, you'll see Aladdin right there. And we are on the National Register of Historic Places as the Aladdin Theater, okay, which then became the historic Cocoa Village Playhouse.
But you know, it's funny, when I talk about the Cocoa Village Playhouse with anyone in the community, and they say, well, you know, Cocoa Village Playhouse, and I'm like, no. It's the historic Cocoa Village
historic,
Playhouse.
yes.
Because I think that distinction is really important. This building has been here for a very long time, and you have done an amazing job. You and your team.
Thank
You
you.
keep referencing your team.
Thank you.
You and your team have done an amazing job of keeping this building current and beautiful and restored, and I know it's a lot of work.
Thank you.
Having performed in a historic building for a long time,
yes.
it's a lot of work to
Yes.
keep up a 100-year-old building.
Yes, yes. And you are so correct with that, because to apply to be on the National Register of Historic Places, it's an application process. They come, they inspect, and when they bless you being on that registry, you're on the registry, but you do have to make sure that you're complying and doing exactly what you're supposed to be. Now back to the building next door. That building was built in 1910, so it's older than the theater, and it isn't on the National Register of Historic Places at this time, and I'm not sure if we'll go through that process. It's a very intense process to apply to be on the National Register.
Well, you have one. Why worry about the second? You're good here. I'm so excited for you and for the future for the historic Cocoa Village Playhouse and everything that is happening here. Your expansion plans. Stacey, congratulations.
Well, thank you, Rob.
This is 30 years of really, really hard work that is paying off for you. I just have to say, okay, so after 30 years, any thoughts on, what's next for Stacey?
Well, people ask me that, and sometimes when I say 30 years, that's almost half of my life, isn't it? And I absolutely love every single minute. People know the passion that I hold for the Playhouse and the community. So no matter as I age, and of course we're all going to age, okay? As I age, I continue to tell people the word retirement isn't the word, it's transition. Okay, it's transition, and we've been in transition for many years because, as you know, I have had some health issues, and when those issues occurred, the team carried on flawlessly. Everything was wonderful and perfect. So I am very confident in the team that we have, and I intend to always be working for the Playhouse in some form or fashion, even if it's just volunteering to assist. One of my passions has always been to have a high-risk, at-risk youth program, and I would love to put my focus there. But as far as retirement, the word isn't that, the word is transition, and I'll keep you posted.
Well, whatever capacity that is, Stacey, this theater is lucky to have you.
Well, thank you, Rob, and from my heart, I give you so much thanks for that, seriously.
Well, and you said delegate, so, in delegating and in transitioning, which way that happens.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me here today, Stacey.
As we say at the theater, victory!
My thanks to Stacey for welcoming me into her theater, and a huge thanks to Jeremy Phelps for setting and lighting the stage for us. Join me again next week when I get a Murder on the Space Coast update from podcast mastermind John A. Torres. That's Eye on Brevard for today. For more local news and to rewatch this episode, go to floridatoday.com.